Hello everyone and welcome back to the Depressed Detroit Sports Show. Thank you so much for tuning in yet again. Pretty good lineup for episode 4. I know I was having some problems in the previous episodes keeping the numbers straight, but we got it good now. We're actually taking a step out of the depressing world of Detroit sports for a moment. Start off by talking about the NFL playoffs, specifically doing a quick little deep dive into the reffing blunders from the playoffs, and then we're going to step into the depressing world of Detroit sports a little later. All that coming up and more. Episode 4 of the Depressed Detroit Sports Show. Also, this will be the very first episode to have video clips alongside audio clips to reinforce my arguments and opinions. Maybe not on the Spotify version, but the YouTube version will definitely have video clips. And alright, before we get into the depressing world of Detroit sports, let's take a quick little tour around the rest of the NFL. Very first thing I think we need to get into is the reffing bumble in the Chiefs AFC Championship game. I'm hearing so much about the refs rigging this game on the Chiefs, and I can definitely understand why you would think that. But let's take a deeper look into the extra third down play the Chiefs got. In this clip live from the game, you can see just after the snap, Ron Torbert running down the field waving his arms calling for the play to be signaled dead.
In the game. Oh, there he is coming in, but nobody could hear the whistle.
And I was watching this game live. I don't know if Arrowhead was just so loud or he tried to blow his whistle and no players heard it. However, if you go back and rewatch that clip, I don't even see anyone on the Bengals sideline react at all. But we all heard Tony Romo just say, but nobody heard the whistle. So that makes me think maybe he did. But none of that really matters now. I think that play would have been called back even if the Chiefs had gotten the first down. Apparently it was an error with the spot of the ball after the 2nd and 9. And after moving the ball, Torbert said into the mic, "Please reset the play clock to 10 seconds. 10 seconds, please. The play clock and the game clock will start on my signal." Then, apparently, the field judge noticed the game clock was running when only the play clock should be running. The play before was an incomplete pass to the running back. Therefore, according to the NFL rulebook, which the referee should know, the game clock is stopped until the ball is snapped. So apparently Torbert noticed that just before the ball was snapped and attempted to stop the play. But why wouldn't he keep blowing the whistle as he's running up instead of just barely waving his arms? In fact, I didn't even hear any whistles until the play was over. The blame was somewhat deflected to the clock operator, but he was just doing what he was told from the referee. Despite getting an extra down, the Chiefs went on to punt that drive. The Bengals also had 2 chances after that drive to score, and they couldn't, including a late interception thrown by Joe Burrow. Who knows, maybe this would have been different if the mayor of Cincinnati had said they were going down to Burrowhead in the memory of Harambe, instead of politely saying that Joe is Pat's daddy. All that being said, I do think these will be the 2 best quarterbacks in the league for the next 10 years. Burrow is already one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league, and Mahomes is just Mahomes. I don't think this is the infamous NFL scriptwriters paying off the refs. I just think it was bad officiating. Just like in the Super Bowl with the James Bradberry holding call at the very end of the game. I think it was a very weak call, especially considering an argument could be made that there was mutual contact with Juju sticking his arm out into Bradberry. I don't think that hand on Juju's hip really impeded him in any way. I mean, yeah, the hand kind of did wrap around his waist, but he didn't grab him and pull him back and impede his ability to catch a football that was already uncatchable. You know what? Let's watch it again and you can make your final judgment.
Mahomes, pressure, lofting one, end zone incomplete. Juju Smith-Schuster couldn't catch up. There's a flag at the 10. Hang on, there's a penalty.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 24, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario. You'll see James Bradberry, they're going to say he grabs him. He's got his left hand on his back. I don't know. Mike, listen, I think on this stage,
You know, especially in that stage of the game, I don't think something that minute should be called. I mean, it might not have completely changed the outcome of the game, but I don't think it's worth calling, especially when Juju's reaching his hand out and sticking it, It's mutual contact at that point, in my opinion. I don't think you can call that on Bradberry. And then, of course, Juju reverted back TikTok boy for a minute and tweeted a meme of Bradberry for Valentine's Day saying, "I'll hold you when it matters most," before promptly getting put back in his place by A.J. Brown and C.J. Gardner-Johnson and giving back a few weak responses if you ask me. Especially for someone who hasn't had a good season since pre-mental breakdown Antonio Brown getting double-teamed every play, he had to pretty much get saved by Mahomes on a 1-year prove-it deal. And I mean, he did have a good year with 78 receptions, 933 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But the only other receiver he was sharing catches with was Travis Kelce. They had no true number one receiver, something I assume they're going to try to address this offseason. Whether that's in the draft or free agency, only time will tell. Back on track from that quick little rant, these are just more cases showing that the NFL, and especially Roger Goodell, needs to invest more into the officials. The NFL does pay around $200K a year, however they don't receive health insurance and they don't get a 401K since it's only considered to be a part-time job. I'm not even going to try and guess how much money it would cost the NFL to invest in these refs. There should at least be a set of full-time refs who are full-time employees and go into training and studying during the offseason. Now, this doesn't have to be all refs, just a set amount of head refs. Then maybe keeping most of the other refs on smaller roles and responsibilities on the field, with every final call having to come from the head ref. These other refs can still throw flags and call calls, but if it's a questionable call, or maybe like how coaches can't challenge at the last 2 minutes of every half, every call in the last 2 minutes has to be reviewed and approved by the head ref. Of course, these full-time refs would get more money and benefits. Simply put, something needs to change with the officiating of the sport. And this is just my opinion, but it's clear. Now, I know that officiating is a thankless job, and I do have personal experience. I was a first base umpire for, I think it was like a 7U baseball games when I was in high school. And there was this one call where I was watching this runner slide into first base, and he was safe. He was, I don't know why, but for some reason I just out, and I instantly knew I fucked up because the first baseman turned, looked at me, and his eyes got real big, and he said, "Really?" All excited and shit. I then went to meet up with the home base ump after the inning, who actually was a good friend who was lovingly nicknamed Goose Keith, and I pretty much told him, "Yeah, man, I fucked up." But the game was so one-sided for the last 2 innings, I didn't even know what the score was. And when I asked Goose at the end of the game, he admitted he wasn't exactly sure either. As we're standing there talking about how we didn't know what the score was, our former teacher came up to us. Turns out his son was playing in the game and said something along the lines of, "Hey guys, I know that no one really thanks you for this job, but I want to let you know that you guys did a good job and thank you." So shout out Mr. B. You're one of my favorite teachers of all time. Goated. I also want to bring up the Chicago Bears, more specifically the Justin Fields situation. I still think trading Fields is a bad idea. Are you really going to move on from a 6'3", 228-pound scrambler to a 5'10.5", 195-pound scrambler when you have the worst offensive line in football and you just traded away your 2 best defenders in Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn? While I do understand the argument of moving on from Fields and getting a first and some later picks restarting with a rookie-scale quarterback contract, but you're just plugging someone else into the same shitty situation. Nothing against Bryce Young. Dude is definitely and will be a stud in the NFL. I just think it's the wrong move for the Bears. But, much like the 2019 NFL Draft, where the Lions had the 3rd overall pick, and when asked if we were thinking about taking a quarterback, Matt Patricia and good old Bobby Quinn made it very clear we weren't. So what's the point in a team trading up with the Lions if we're not going to draft a quarterback anyway? The Bears entertaining the idea of trading Fields makes it even possible to trade that pick with the Texans or anyone else. Because why would they want to overspend a trade up to get their guy if there's no chance of you taking their guy in the first place? Like when everyone had the Bears taking Jalen Carter 1st overall, why would anyone want to trade up when they're going to take someone who could go 6th overall if someone else had the 1st overall pick? Now, I'm not saying you have to trash talk your quarterback every offseason, saying you're talking about drafting the replacement. But there definitely is a tactful way to say we're keeping our options open and I'm not getting into who's on our draft board. All right, next up, the New Orleans Saints are trading the coaching rights of Sean Payton to the Denver Broncos for the number 30 overall pick this year and a 2024 second rounder. For Payton, of course, and a 2024 third round pick. While I mean, a good head coach makes a hell of a difference, and I don't think Nathaniel Hackett was it, you signed him to try to entice Aaron Rodgers to Denver, and it didn't work. Time to cut your losses and move on. I am usually against cutting head coaches after 1 or 2 years, but I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like parting ways with Hackett is the correct move for the Broncos. Whether or not Payton is the correct move, well, I don't know. Only time will tell. I do think this year was an anomaly regarding regards to Russell Wilson. It was his first year in a new system since he got into the league, and with an inexperienced head coach whose best quality was Aaron Rodgers and him are buddies. I don't know. Maybe I'll be eating my words, but next year I don't think Russell Wilson will be as terrible. Okay, now that we've gotten through our quick tour around the NFL, the plane has just landed back at DTW. We're walking into the McNamara Terminal. Welcome to Detroit, folks. Time to dive into the Detroit sports and learn about Lions Pro Bowl players, Hutchinson versus Sauce Gardner Rookie of the Year, Lions coaching changes, possibly some new unis on the horizon, and then we're going to dive a little bit into the Pistons and Tigers news coming up at the end as well. With all that being said, let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Welcome, everybody, to the depressing world of Detroit sports. As much as it pains me to say this, Sauce Gardner definitely deserves winning Rookie of the Year. But damn, did Hutch have a year. Dude really balled out with 52 tackles, 9 TFLs, 15 quarterback hits, 9.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions, including one where he lined up like a safety and beautifully read a pass from Justin Fields. Pull it up, Jamie.
Right before the half here, Bears playing aggressive with 7 seconds to go, trying to get into field goal range or maybe do the lateral play. No pass rush at all. And Aiden Hutchinson, who would have been on the pass rush, drops back into coverage. And Hutchinson, would you believe he has his 3rd interception of the year? And he's got a fumble recovery early.
While Hutchinson had one hell of a year, and 3 interceptions for a rookie edge threat is just insane. I cannot justifiably say he deserves it over Sauce. The dude balled out at corner, which is even more insane considering corner is probably the hardest position to play in football. Think about it. They're typically the smallest guys in the field, but probably the most athletic. Even if the corner is the best athlete on the field, they're already at a disadvantage because the receiver already knows what they're doing, but the corner has to guess where they're going and what they're going to have to decipher which moves are real and which are just trying to throw you off. Now, unfortunately, the Lions' assistant to the head coach and running backs coach, Deuce Staley, has left the Lions organization, joining Frank Reich-led Carolina Panthers. Staley worked together with Reich during his time with the Eagles. Replacing Staley will be ex-NFL wide receiver Scotty Montgomery from the Colts. Montgomery will take over Stanley's position of running backs coach / assistant head coach. While I'm definitely going to miss Staley and the energy he brought to this team, I like the idea of bringing in the guy who helped make Jonathan Taylor the player he is. Hopefully, assuming we re-sign Jamal, we'll already have 2 dogs in the running back room, so bringing in the guy who worked with Jonathan Taylor is definitely a good idea. And Amon-Ra St. Brown went and played on, I believe it was another NFL player, in a game of Madden and leaked the possibility of the Lions getting some new uniforms soon. And honestly, we desperately need them. I think the Lions need a full redesign. I don't really know what I would want, but I definitely think it's time to get rid of the WCF on the arms. Now I get it. William Clay Ford bought the team, but under him the Lions quite literally sucked ass. But unfortunately, we'll apparently have to wait until 2024 to get these new uniforms. I do hope we bring out a blackout uniform similar to what we had in the early 2000s. Some good news though, we're apparently getting a new alternate helmet for 2023, which would definitely be sick, especially if it goes with those new blackout uniforms I hope we get. We'd better get some new iced out unis or all white uniforms. Those are very clean to wear in an away game where the home team's already wearing throwbacks or maybe some alternates. Now, completely changing sports, walking just across the street from Ford Field to Co-America Park, which is newly renovated, bringing in the center field wall from 422 feet to 412 feet, bringing the wall height down from 13 feet to 7 feet, while bringing the right field wall down from 8.5 to 7 feet. Despite bringing the center field wall in 10 feet, it is now the 2nd deepest field in MLB history, behind the previous second field holder, Coors Field at 415, but this was something that definitely needed to be done. Considering the Tigers were the worst hitting team in baseball, something just had to be changed. I don't expect the Tigers to be a playoff team this year, but hopefully Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, and some of our pitching prospects make a big leap this year. And pitching should be hopefully more stable. I do think will most likely be better than last year, as long as Scott Harris starts to work out. But I expect the Tigers to be contenders in the next couple of years. I'm excited to see Spencer Turnbull return after being out the last year, having to get Tommy John surgery, especially since we haven't seen him since the year he threw his no-hitter. I'm really excited to see him come back since I saw him pitch live his rookie season. All right, folks, hope you got your foam tiger claws, got your peanuts while we were at Co-America Park, because we're walking out, and we're walking not even a mile down the street. LCA Little Caesars Arena is our next destination. We're now going to dive into a little bit of Pistons and Red Wings news. Starting off with the Detroit Red Wings have officially re-signed their captain and hometown hero Dylan Larkin to an 8-year extension, averaging $8.7 million a year this season. Larkin, who's 26, leads the team in goals, assists, points, and power play goals this season. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, hockey is the sport that I know the least about. I really enjoy watching it, but it's just the sport that I started watching last. I love hockey, but I just want to be clear, it's the sport that I know the least about. With all that being said, I do like this deal. I like Larkin a lot, and much like Aiden Hutchinson, Larkin went to Michigan, and he was born in Waterford, Michigan. I think it's a good idea to keep him around. Apparently, so does Stevie Y. Now, unfortunately, with good news, there does always have to be some bad news. And, I do want to make this a point, and I want to bring up 3 out of the 4 big Detroit sports teams have traded away their young and up-and-coming stars. First, it was TJ Hawkinson to the Vikings. Then it was Sadiq Bey to the Warriors for James Wiseman. And then now, just recently, Tyler Bertuzzi traded to the Boston Bruins for a first-round pick in the 2024 draft and a 4th in the 2025. Now, while I'm sad to see Bertuzzi go, he and Larkin were my 2 favorite wings. We do still have a ways to go before we're true contenders for the Stanley Cup. So getting another first-rounder to add is never a bad idea. Now, on to Sadiq, my first reaction was instant anger. I loved Sadiq. He was a phenomenal 3-ball shooter, and I wasn't very big on Wiseman. Now, going into the 2020 draft, I was very big on Wiseman. I consider the Pistons the biggest they need to fix first was center. Now, Wiseman hasn't really worked out since then, but he did get a ring last year with the Warriors. So, much like Jared Goff being the quarterback for the Lions, making it to the Super Bowl, that's a lot of experience that a lot of players in the NBA don't have. And he did get to work with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Steve Kerr. So he has a lot of experience with veterans in the league that I'm sure have shared a lot of knowledge to him that he can bestow to a young Pistons team. Much like the Tigers and the Red Wings, the Pistons have a way to go before they're going to be contenders for a championship again. They have a very good young team, but I think it's time to move on from Dwayne Casey. I think the people saying that we got to fire Troy Weaver after trading Sadiq Bey is just a little stupid. Moves like this are going to have to be made eventually and to make a good franchise again. The Pistons haven't been good since, let's be honest, last time we won a championship in 04? So unfortunately, I don't know. Sometimes you just have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, But anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in to episode 4 of the Deep Press Detroit Sports Show. I have been your host, Zach. Make sure you stay on the lookout for future episodes. I'm definitely going to have something coming up pretty soon for Lions draft. Dan Campbell had some pretty interesting words to say about that and all the prospects he's met with and had a few words to say. It's very interesting. We're definitely going to have to get into that soon. Baseball season is going to be starting up soon. They're in spring training right now. We'll definitely be getting into that soon. Red Wings, who knows? They're like 4th in the wild card right now. We'll see how that turns out. Maybe we might be getting some Red Wing playoff content this year. We shall see. Nevertheless, make sure you check me out on all my socials. Link will be in the description of all of this. Detroit Sports Show over at Instagram. Go drop a follow. Like a couple of my posts if you would. And share with your friends if they are also Detroit sports fans. Or if you just like the content. Spread the news. Get the word out. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I have been your host, Zach. And I will see you all in the next episode.